Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, race fans, wherever you are in the world. It's Wednesday, and we all know what that means. It's race day for the International Sim Racing Series 2026 summer season. We are in round 12, the penultimate round of the season. And I'd like to welcome you all to my home state of California. We're in the Golden State here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, just outside the city of Monterey on the Monterey Peninsula. .2 miles. This track is fast, and it's punishing if you get it wrong, as our current championship leader just demonstrated. "11 turns, including one of the most famous in motorsport, the corkscrew." Corner sequence, I should rather say, where cars from highest to lowest drop 5 stories. It's looking to be a good race today, folks, and seeing as we are in the penultimate round, the championship can be won today. We are looking at our current championship leader by 31 points. All G has to do is finish ahead of Andreo, and he is champion. If you look at Andreo, second in the championship. In order for him to take the championship fight to Sao Paulo, he has to at least win, and G has to finish third or lower, and this fight continues to the final round of the season in Brazil. High stakes here in the Golden State. We are at a minute until the start of qualifying, approximately. Andreo currently fastest in practice. I'm looking to set a good precedent for today. When we lap 50 times around WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. There is the warning from our admin Dokuno. You can see we have a lot of new faces here today. Yes, we have a decent amount. Reminder to you of the rules very quickly as we get qualifying underway in a couple moments' time. Drivers have 15 minutes to join the server and practice at 7:45 Central European Summertime. Once those 15 minutes have elapsed and it becomes 8 p.m., 20 minutes of qualifying begins. Fastest lap time sets the grid for our 180 kilometer-ish race. Today it'll be run to 50 laps. 12 cars participating today. 2 still in the championship running. Green lights at the end of the pit lane for qualifying. Here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, Dokuno, our admin, first car out as always. Isn't a whole lot of opportunity for tires to get warm around here. He's going to have to be super careful about how he approaches these laps. So I actually visited this track in real life not too long ago. For the first time ever. It was a dream to go there. We didn't really go there for all that long. We got there just before closing. And let me tell you, the corkscrew is a lot more menacing in real life than it actually looks on a screen. And when I was there, they actually had a driverless IndyCar out on the track. Dakuno rounds the final corner. He's going to run up to the start-finish line to start his first lap of the race. Or, excuse me, first lap of qualifying. Quick left-hander run up to the corkscrew. Rounds the final corner with Okuno. That'll be his lap. We'll have a run to the line to see where the benchmark is. And he's reset to the pits. Interesting. Okay. Attack sends the fastest lap so far at a 1:24.6. Half a second clear of Andrew in the BWT Porsche. Home favorite Dumond sets a 1:28.7. We might be having a server reset here, I'm not sure. Alden goes fastest with a 1:22.9. Yes, we are having a server restart. Alright, folks, stand by for a moment while we get this figured out. You're back, folks. Sorry for that delay. A little bit of a qualifying bug. Some cars stuck in the pit lane. We'll be starting in just about a minute's time. Oof, that was close. Couple of Porsches going at it in practice. Andrea, if you can hear me and type, let me know how you're feeling about this race today. You are currently fighting for the championship. You need to take a win here. And G needs to come in third for the championship fight to go to Brazil. If you are still in the chat, let me know. Green light at the end of the pit lane for qualifying once again. Laguna's Mercedes releases the pit limiter, runs down the pit exit through turns 1 and 2. Our two championship contenders still sitting in the pit lane. So Laguna comes to round the final corner. Laguna running up towards corkscrew on our first lap of this new qualifying session. Seems to take it pretty cleanly, runs down the hill once again. Runs past pit entry. Trying to make sure not to abuse track limits on the final corner. It's going to cut the beam to send our first benchmark at a 124.0. Andrew's going to be second across the line at a 24.8. Van with a 24.3. Batak at a 25.1. The Rexicard at 24.3. Pax at 24.8. What about our home favorite at 27.3? Mystic's gonna hit the beam at a 24.5, smack dab in the middle of our current pack. Alden rounds the final corner. And his lap will put him on provisional pole by 1.1 seconds, 22.9. My God. G and Andreo now on track. G with a 22.8 to go to provisional pole. Laguna improves his time, not his position. Van as well improving his time. Huge bit of contact between Andreo and Pratama. We'll see if G can make any improvements once again on this lap. Alden, once again in trouble in the final corner in the wall now. I believe on his own, however. G's slightly slower, but still pretty consistent. Laguna into the pit lane. Let's take it right along with Van on his next push lap. Coming down the start-finish straight up through the gears, you're going to get some 5th, maybe 6th, depending on your car's gearing. Braking at about the 3 mark. You kind of want to V off turns 1 and 2 right here. Make sure your throttle application is nice and smooth. Braking at about the 1. Nice and smooth on the steering. Once again, about the 1. Just dabbing the brakes. Trying to carry as much speed as possible through that right-hander. Bringing at about the 2 here. Huge slide from Van. Getting his lap done and dusted. We're going to come up the hill anyway. Braking at about the 1. Really quick through the left-hander. Again, just dabbing the brakes. Getting the car rotated up towards the corkscrew. Braking at the 3. Getting all the way down to 1st, turning in nice and early. Is dropped down 5 stories, off the throttle here, no brakes, back on really quickly. Braking at about in between the 2 and the 1 through the right-hander. And we're going to go into the pit lane with Van. I'm going to see drivers start diving into the pit lane now. We are halfway through this qualifying session. Andreo gonna start his first lap of the day. Setting up the left-hander. And remember, Andreo needs to at least, in order for the championship to continue to the final round, Andreo needs to win, and G needs to finish 3rd or lower. And that situation continues. If Andreo finishes 2nd, G has to finish 4th for the championship fight to go to Brazil. And so on and so forth. Every position you go down for Andreo, G needs to go down 2. or needs to be 2 below him. Until you get to like the very low point scoring positions. In order for G to win the championship today, he has to finish ahead of Andrea. Andrea with a huge slide to the bottom of the hill. Rounds the final corner and a huge slide on the exit of the final corner again. He's going to cut the beam for his first lap of the day at the 23.5, so even with all those mistakes, he's still about mid-pack. He'll join the hometown boy. I don't know where his hometown is in the States, but he's American. His third and final home race of the season. A quick check at how much longer we have in qualifying. 7 minutes. Okay. So you see Dokuno's around. Just over halfway through qualifying, let's go through a quick order check. Alden currently sits on provisional pole at a 1 minute 22.399, ahead of our current championship leader G at a 1:22.741. Alano is a substitute for today's race, sitting at a 1:23.160. 200th behind him is our Edmund Okuno at 1 minute 23.184. Person currently P2 in the championship standings, trying to come back and keep this championship going to Brazil, is Andrea at a 1:23.553. Then we have Van at 23.6, Pack at 24.1. Batak, also a newcomer, making his debut here today at 24.5. Ristic at 24.573, also another debutant. Andrew in the BWT Porsche at a 1 minute 24.839. Merrick at a 26.407. And Dumont with his final home race of the season at a 1 minute 26.666. As we see, Andrew jumps up to P8 with a 24.258. Merrick making some progress on positions in qualifying today. And he is off. Attack up to P8. The 124.010. Good lap from the newcomer. As he goes around into the wall. Very patriotic livery. We're coming here now to the final few minutes of qualifying. A couple of people still improving. Finding those last couple hundredths, maybe a few tenths. Try and get their best starting position for the penultimate round of the season here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. You can see the cars getting that final lap warning. My first car to cross the line, couldn't see who it was, but they are going to have no improvement. Alden rounds the final corner. Checkered flag waving, he cuts the beam, no improvement either. Laguna is around in the pit lane. Batak crosses the line next. None from him, Van. None from him either. What is that? Across the line. Andreo. Last minute improvement. I think that's going to be all of our cars done for qualifying. Take a look at your starting grid for round 12 of the International Sim Racing Series 2026 summer season here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Andreo starting on pole, trying to continue this championship fight to next week in Brazil. G starting alongside our top two in the championship, going to be fighting the whole way home. A reminder that G can win the championship today. Pratama starts from third, Dokuno from fourth, Alano on fifth, first of our 4 Porsches in a row. Then we have Pac, Van, and Andrew finishing out the top 8. Final 2 Mercedes go to Batak and Merrick in 9th and 10th respectively. Ristic starting from P11, and the the driver in his final home race of the season of 3, all 3 in a row. Starting in 12th is Dumont. Race will start in about 4 minutes time. Go get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, and we'll see you for 50 laps of Laguna Seca in a few moments time. We are back for round 12 of the International Sim Racing Series 2026 summer season here in California at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. We have the 1 minute warning from our admin Dokuno, 50 laps of Monterey coming your way in a few moments' time. Andreo on pole, trying to keep this championship fight alive. G starting alongside, trying to take the championship win here today. Here we go. Andreo on pole, G just behind. 50 laps of Laguna Seca coming your way. The cars roll away. The International Sim Racing Series goes racing Laguna Seca. Now green, green, green. We go racing down towards turns 1 and 2. Andrea leading the way from G from Alden. Down into turn 1. Everyone seems pretty clean. Already a big gap between 6th and 7th position. As we see Pat going past Okuno for an easy pickup of P5. Okuno trying to come back into the left-hander. Pack takes the option away. Merrick all over the back of Patakas. We have a yellow flag. You see Alden is around, and he's going to drop down to the back of the field. Heading to the corkscrew for the first time. Andrea with a brilliant opening lap to stay ahead of G. G gets a little bit squirrely out of the final corner. He's still going to have a run down towards turn 1 in that slipstream. Not quite close enough to make anything happen, though. And see up ahead, Andreo dropping some tires into the gravel, into the sand even. G setting up fastest, sector 1. Top 2 already pulling away from the rest of the field. G going as late as he dare into the corkscrew. Now, it's still early doors, but remember, in order for G to win the championship, he has to finish ahead of Andreo, or as they are right now. Batak managed to get ahead of Merrick on the opening lap and has stayed there for the time being. Merrick and now Ristic all still pretty close behind. Very clean opening laps of the race. Oof. Andrea with a small mistake in the corkscrew. G is now going to have to be checking his mirrors as well as focusing on the car in front of him. Solano goes a little bit wide on the exit of turn 9. G trying to have a look at the inside. It's going to leave himself open to Alano, who gets by. G not very happy, going to try and come back up the inside of that Rexy car. Side by side into the braking zone. G manages to get back ahead. Alano trying for the up and under, and it's going to work. Is battling now, bringing Dokuno and Pack into the fray for P2 as well. Andreo letting out a little bit of air, I'm sure, under that helmet. He has a gap. The only gap he cares about is the gap to P3 right now. Sits at about 1.5 seconds. Zolano's trying to make himself big in the mirrors of Andreo, force him into a mistake, which happens! Andreo with a huge slide out of the corkscrew, and he's going to drop down to P2. Alano takes the lead of this race on lap 4. The newcomer putting his foot down, showing off his racecraft and pace. Andreo gonna try and come back just like G did a lap ago. Late on the brakes, he's gonna get by once. He's gonna get by back into the lead of the race. And he's off! Andreo's off into the gravel. He's gonna lose a couple of positions here. Nakuno trying to have a look at the inside. Nothing doing for him though. But that means G, crucially, is gonna get ahead of G. Or excuse me, G is gonna get ahead of Andreo, crucially. Andreo now, with his mirrors a lot fuller than he'd like them to be. Nakuno running a little bit wide on the exit of turn 7. That's going to allow Pack to get by. Our two championship leaders currently second and third. G trying to have a go at Alano and the lead of the race, and it's gonna happen. Alano going for another switchback into turns 1 and 2. Great racing on display here from the newcomer. G going to be under attack once again from behind. All G has to do now is keep that Lexus behind him. Andreo trying to have a look at the inside towards the corkscrew. Not close enough to make anything happen that would be safe. Oof, nothing separating the top 3. Whoa, a little bit of contact between G and Alano. And that's going to be Alano off into the gravel, down into P6. A little bit of contact. I think G just either misses braking point or maybe Alano braked too early. But that's going to be G forcing Alano off and inheriting the race lead as a result. G now starting to break away from Andrea. Gap almost a second. Merrick defending from Alden. Whoa. Slight bits of contact between the two cars, but nothing too concerning for either of them. Merrick dipping his left side into the dust. And he's going to be wide on the exit of that right-hander, and Alden's going to get by easily. As we see Pack off in the background. That's going to allow Dokuno to get by. Is it going to allow Van to get alongside? Not quite, but he's going to have an amazing run out of turn 11. Pack staying to the middle of the track, taking a defensive shape. As we see, Jamon is around in turn 1 on the radar with the track map. Oh, looks to be a mistake from G. G's off! And into the gravel, and Andrea gets by. That's going to open up a huge gap as well. G's hand slips off the championship trophy for now. Pack now under attack from Andrew in the BWT Porsche behind. Pack cuts across turn 1 over the sausage curve. They're going to be side by side through turns 2 and 3 maybe. Pack back ahead before turn 3. Andrew not able to capitalize on that mistake. Pack with a huge slide out of that left-hander. They're going to be side by side up to the corkscrew. Pack still ahead for the time being. Andrew now also under attack by Alden. Andrew trying to look at the inside of Pack. There's a little bit of contact. Andrew comes basically to a standstill. That's going to allow Alden to have a run on him. Side by side across the start-finish line, Alden gets ahead. And that's an easy pass for Alden into turns 1 and 2. So we see Pack goes a little bit deep. Alden cannot capitalize on that mistake, however. Ooh, Falano into the gravel. Managed to keep his car facing the right way, though. So we are 20% through this race already. G just trying to keep Andreo in that 1 second gap, and Andreo made a mistake to that right-hander. And G's gonna have a run on him into the left. Make a little bit of contact. Andreo's a little bit wide, but we're side by side up the hill. Andreo stays ahead. G having to see the position once again. Andreo going a little bit wide as well, and super slow up to the corkscrew. G easily manages to get by. With a little bit of contact up into the braking zone. Race now settled down as we see 2 cars in the pit lane. Olano electing to get off those softs and satisfy his soft medium compound requirement, as does Pack. Oof, Andrea with a huge moment out of turn 11. G off into the sand after setting the fastest sector 1 time of the race so far. It was a little bit wide. The exit of turn 5. You join Pack and Alano. They seemed pretty close together. You can see Dumont up in the distance. Blue flags will be coming out shortly. We'll see if that lapped car becomes an issue for our leaders. You see Van and Allen both with huge moments. The exit of turn 3. Van continuing to go super wide on the exit of corners, dipping one side into the sand. Blue flag's out for Dumont. He's going to have to get out of the way. Does for G. And Andrea, but Andrea with a little bit of a slide trying to lap the car. Andrea not happy to see that gap he has ahead of him. G delighted to see that gap behind him, no doubt. Merrick now looking to be under attack by Rissick from behind. As you see that G has seemed to made a mistake somewhere in Sector 2. We'll join Andrea as he chases down for trying to stay in the championship. G goes super deep into turn one. Andrea with a little bit of extra motivation, you can see. Right back to them. I do see another one that's between Merrick and Mystic. Merrick a little bit slow through the left-hander, still dipping tires into the gravel. As we see a lapped car get in the way on pit exit. Dreo not going to be happy with Bastic. G's off though! And Andrea's going to get back in the lead. This is the kind of race you want to see. Championship implications. Good racing from both sides, but also both sides making mistakes. Keep the race close. With a lot of lead changes. Merrick and Ristic still going at it. G once again back within striking range of Andreo. To those of us just joining us live, welcome to round 12 of the International Sim Racing Series 2026 summer season here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in Monterey, California. The two you see on your screen right now, Andreo and G, currently fighting for the championship. If they finish as they are now, as we see Andreo diving into the pit lane. Long run down the pit lane for Andrea. The 53 crew going to go to work on that Lexus. Fresh rubber. Small bit of racing fuel going in to that Lexus RCF. Now is when you'll start more than likely to start seeing medium runners diving into the pit lane. There we are, we have G now into the pit lane. Is Dokuno gonna follow suit? He is. What about Pratama? Not quite, he's gonna stay out. Potentially try for an overcut. This might be a little risky. Both his in and out laps are going to have to be really great to try and keep his track position. It does take a second for tires to get up to temp at this track, even if they are softs. Nakuno just switching the tire compound. G's gonna hope that Dokuno can hold Andreo up as much as possible. As Dokuno almost goes on the back of Ristic into the corkscrew. Whoa, Andreo up the inside of Dokuno. A little bit of argy-bargy. But Dokuno remains ahead. Ristic down 2 positions. Ristic goes super deep, as does it seem G does. G past Ristic. Still gonna be hoping Dokuno can hold Andreo off. All 3 have just taken their pit stops. Andreo having a look up the inside. And much to G's frustration, that is gonna be Andreo up into P2. And like this, as it stands, the championship fight will continue on to Brazil. But we still have a long way to go. Anything can happen. As we see, Pac has retired from the race. As we see, Alden has still yet to pit. All cars very close to each other. Except for Batak, he's by himself. Olano and Van going at it. Ooh, Van with a huge slide. That's going to allow Olano to run away. Are we pitted? I'm not sure. Anyway, we are now at half distance in this race. Time is running out for G to try and find some extra pace. Geez, under that helmet, definitely looking at that gap, getting larger with despair. But he knows there's still half a race to go. Lano and Van still close together, and Merrick slowly trying to get into this fight for P5. Lano's super slow through turns 1 and 2. Damon gets out of the way of all 3 cars lapping him. Andreo slowly starting to peel open a gap to the German behind. He does go a little bit deep into turn 1, however. Laguna with a great run up towards the corkscrew. Not close enough to make anything happen, however. Laguna trying to keep it nice and smooth on the pedals. And tuck into that slipstream provided by the Lexus. And Dacuno's up the inside of Andreo. Andreo gonna try for a switchback. Dacuno blocks it off. G now seeing that change in position is gonna hope that Dacuno can keep him behind. Alden finally diving into the pit lane. As does Dacuno. So that's going to allow Andreo to have very much clean air and inherit the lead of the race. It's also going to mean G gets up to P2 and puts his hands back on that championship trophy for now. If they finish as is right now, G is champion. Van getting by Alonso on the start-finish straight. You can see Dacuno exiting pit lane right there as well. He's going to get caught up on a battle for P4. On cold, I believe he's on mediums or softs, can't tell. Didn't see. Van a little bit slow through the corkscrew, and Van's around! Big contact between Alano and Van, it looked like. Van around into the wall down to P8. Merrick now has dove into the pit lane. Andrea now caught up to the back of Merrick. Blue flag is going to be waving for the Czech driver. Merrick defending his position from the leader. Not entirely sure why. And now he dives out of the way. No, he just chooses to defend it once again. And that's going to have Andrea go wide, and she's going to get inside. So a lapped car not following the rules is going to allow G to take the lead of this race. G gets past Alano as well. Andrea forcing his way past Alano. Oof, G getting a little bit squarely touching the gravel. Andrea's going to dive into the pit lane. G finally gets by Merrick. No clue why Merrick is fighting this so hard. G now very much in the clear. I believe he will have to make another stop though, so he's going to have to eke out a pit stop time. Van does the right thing and gets out of the way for the leader. Merrick falls down to P9 after a mistake in the final corner. It's Gonna have another run back on Alano though. Oof, Alano almost making contact with the back of Van. Trying to have a look at the inside, nothing going. And maybe another one, a little bit of trading paint. But Alano's gonna get the move done for now. And G is now in the pit lane. You can see Alana going a little bit deep. Van's gonna have an excellent run on him. They make a little bit of contact. G now back out on those soft tires. G and Andrea coming out side by side. Oh, never mind. That would have been cool. Andrea's a couple seconds up the road. Whoa, Van gets by Alano. Alano really slow out of the final corner. Whoa, Alano diving up the inside. Spinning Van out. Well, not quite, but huge contact between the two Porsche drivers. And Van's around. Oh, G almost drops it. The exit of turn 3. Come on, pulling out of the way. A lot of the cars are on the same area of the track. She's slowly creeping that gap down. Reminder that if they finish like this, G is champion. G with an incredible run on Andreo, choosing to remain patient. Both catching up to the leader as well. Well, a little bit of contact under the corkscrew. Andreo, I think with a little bit of switch, riding the concrete wall along the pit lane. Nothing between the two Indonesians. huge slide from Andrea. The two co-patriots vying for the same piece of track, fighting to the very last lap for this championship. Oh, G with a great run up towards the corkscrew, having a look at the inside. Thinks better of it, stays patient. It's not easy to take around Laguna Seca. Oh, trying to have a look at the inside still. No space between them. Here comes really the only passing opportunity on the track. G practically pushing Andrea along. Andrea keeping a huge defensive shape. G's gonna try the switchback. Incredible switchback from G. Takes P2 away from Andrea. Whoa, Andrea with a huge sin. G just trying to remain calm and consistent. Making sure to keep that Lexus right where he wants him in his mirrors. Exit turn 11 of small mode from both cars. As we approach 5 laps to go here for round 12 of the International Sim Racing Series 2026 summer season. G a tad deep into turn 1. It's going to allow Andrea to slightly get an overlap. G's still ahead though. Whoa, Andrea super wide and off to the dirt. That's going to allow the gap to extend. Whoa, no, G's off! G's off into the gravel. That hand slips once again from the championship trophy from G, but he still has it in his grasp. If Andrea wants to stay in this fight, he has to hope he catches Alden by the end of these next 4 laps, or Dokuno catches G. And the gaps for both of those to happen are virtually the same. Alden also yet to have a win this season, staring his first one in the face in the penultimate round of the season. 3 to go here at Laguna Seca. One retiree so far, and that is it. That gap's very quickly shrinking between both Andreo and Pratama and Andreo and G. Oof, Andreo barely getting around Dumont. Gee, has Andreo back in his sights. 2 to go here. Andreo, his mirror's full of G now. G having a look at the inside of the corkscrew. Oh my god! The top 3 are all right next to each other. G gets by. G gets into the lead. Andreo P2 Aldo falls down to the bottom of the podium. Alden losing his pace, seeing that win slip away. That first one of the season of his career here in the International Sim Racing Series. G in the lead as we come onto the final lap of this race here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Andreo hoping that lap car can try and cause some sort of disruption. Is Alden out of fuel? Alden might be out of fuel. I believe Alden is out of fuel, yeah. Anyway, G now running up the hill. Just gonna try and keep it nice and calm behind this lapped car. Not having to do anything rash. Van getting out of the way slightly, still keeping it planted enough. G running away down the hill. Been what a race that has unfolded today as we have a car around in the corkscrew, but G is gonna round the final corner and Andreo's around. G is your 2026 summer season champion. Andreo's around in the final corner. Is Alden gonna get by? He is! As is Dokuno. Oh no, it all fell apart. The final lap for Andreo. Dokuno comes home to finish the podium. Andreo P4, Alden P2. Absolutely unfortunate for Andreo today. Incredible fight all season, but not quite enough. Alano, great debut in that Rexy liveried Porsche. Gonna come home in P5 in his International Sim Racing Series debut. Merrick, great recovery. Great race, rather. Gonna come in 6th, Ristic, and 7th, Andrew. The last car to cross the line in 8th for that BWT Porsche. Absolutely incredible race today from all of our drivers. We'll take a look at your final classification for round 12 of the International Sim Racing Series 2026 summer season here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. G comes home to take the win and unofficially the championship, pending any penalty inquiries that will come in over the next week. Alden, I believe, ran out of fuel in the last lap, but still will come home in P2, missing out on that elusive first win of the season. Dukunho comes home to finish the podium. Great result for the German admin today. Andreo, absolutely unfortunate what happened. Controlled most of the race. Unfortunately, a couple of spins and a little bit of contact means he's finishing off the podium. Alano, great debut from the Porsche driver, coming home in 5th. Merrick, just a decent result for him today. Ristic, another debutant, coming home in 7th. Great result for Andrew as well. And the BWT Porsche coming home in 8th. Second page, Van, fortunately finishing a lap down in 9th. Batak, another debutant, coming home a lap down as well. Dumont, 4 laps down in 11th in front of his home crowd for the last time this season. Not how he wanted his race to pan out. Pack, fortunately, our only retirement of the day. No idea what happened to him. Hopefully it wasn't anything bad. Hopefully it sucks if it was connection, but that stuff happens in sim racing. Well, my thanks to all of the admin team. Dukuno, Amber, Andreo, Fabio, myself. Special thanks to all the drivers as well. Without them, this would not be possible. And of course, my thanks to all of you watching live or the VOD after the fact. Without you guys, this would have no fun to it, for me at least. We go now to the final round of the 2026 summer season next week at Interlagos in Brazil. Of course, G, pending any investigations, is your champion of the season. If you're looking for more ISRS racing, I recommend checking out the simgrid.com/International Sim Racing Series. You can join up there if you are interested. See our rules, standing, schedule, all of that. You can also check out our endurance racing. Happens every couple of Saturdays. 2-hour races within the hypercars and LMGT3s. Unfortunately, we do not have any broadcasting of that right now. It is maybe planned for the future, but we'll see how that pans out. Anyway, as I said, G is your champion as of right now. We'll see you next week in Brazil. Until then, my name is Jack Plays. This has been the International Sim Racing Series, and I'll see you all next week. Goodbye for now.